Hello, my name is Kelly Page and I am filming video number 8. So we will begin by making our foot bath, which I've got already here. So our dilutions of that one is 2 pumps of our disinfectant, which equals 6 mils, and then we want 500 mils of water. So we'll get that ready now. So I've got my jug here. So we'll start off with our water. Perfect. And then we've got our 2 pumps. And then placing that into our foot bath, which I have ready here. So this will go at the door of our isolation ward. Just as we exit, we clean our feet in there, and then we also have a towel to step on to dry our feet as well. I'm just showing our normal wards. So we've got those ones there. Hi, my name is Kelly, and now that we've got our foot bath set all up in the isolation ward, we will put on our PPE. So we have got our gown here, placing that one on. We've got Velcro at the top here. We've got our ties. So wearing our gown protects our clothes from touching any patients that may be infectious, so that we can't spread it from our clothes onto other animals or to ourselves. Then we have our foot covers here, so I'll place those on as well. Then I've also got my gloves, so these protect our hands from touching any patients that may be infected. So I always make sure that my gown is tucked into my gloves. Where appropriate, if need be, we can also wear hairnets, goggles, or any respiratory breathing systems if the virus is airborne. So now that we are all ready, we will head into... So before entering the isolation ward, we want to make sure we know what we're doing in there to save time, rather than looking around and trying to figure that one out, or entering in and out to double check what we're doing. So we're just making sure we've got the correct patient as well, which is listed on the door. So we've got our patient, which is listed to have ringworm, and we are doing a TPR. So now that's all sorted, we will head on in. Alright, so we do want to be monitoring our patient prior to bringing them out, so checking their respiratory rate, as well as their behaviours, as their respiratory rate when stressed and bringing them out can begin to rise. So we just check all of that before we bring them out. Alright, so now that we are in the ward, we're going to grab our patient out and do our TPR. Now, normally in this situation, we obviously wouldn't have phones or anything in the room, but just doing a simulated one with a stuffed toy, just because to keep it nice and clean, we don't have any animals in here other than ones that are needing to be isolated. So I will grab our patient out. So making sure that they're not jumping up to our face, or that they're not connecting to any of our clothing, which is why we've got the PPE. And so we're just going to place him down on here. Now I'll just move our phone over to an angle where we can see. So obviously we wouldn't be touching any phones or any equipment, or leaving the patient unattended. So we've just got him here, and we will do our TPR. So I've got all of our equipment just sat to the side here. And we've just got a clock up here as well. Perfect. We've also got temperature. So our isolation ward here is quite small as well. And so if we had a large patient that did need to go into isolation, we would transfer them through to our emergency centre, as we can only house smaller patients here. So we'll just do a TPR, a temperature on the patient. Perfect. And making sure that we are recording all of our results down as well. So now that our TPR is done, we will pop our patient back, and once again making sure that we're not jumping around or getting close to our face or touching any part of us that isn't covered. So we'll pop him away, back into our cage. Now that that is all done, we need to clean our equipment. So now that is all done, we will be cleaning our equipment that we have used, which is our thermometer and our stethoscope. So we've got all of our equipment up here. So we start with our disinfectant and we spray that all down. Now with our disinfectant, our contact time is 10 minutes. So we will go away, come back and leave that for 10 minutes and then wipe that down. Once that is all done, we will then spray it down with F10, which the contact time is also 10 minutes. So once that is done, we will then wipe it down as well. So now that our 10 minutes is up, we will wipe down our equipment that we use. So making sure to get any parts that we've touched, and more specifically getting any parts that the patient has touched as well. So wiping that all down, as well as wiping down our area that the patient has touched, including the table as well. Perfect. Now that that's all done, we'll pop that in our bin here, which we've just got here. So that bin is specifically for waste from the isolation ward. Now that that is all wiped down, we will use our F10 and use on our table as well. Once again, contact time is 10 minutes. So with our PPE, we are all wearing stuff that is disposable, so we can put that directly into the bin. So we'll start with taking our shoe covers off and putting those away. And then taking off our gown. Making sure that while we've still got our gloves on, that we aren't touching anything that has been touched to the patient. So I always leave my gloves on to last, as obviously the gown has touched a patient. So if we were to take our gloves off and then touch this with our hands, we're then touching something that's been in contact. So I always leave my gloves on until last. So taking that off, that then goes in our bin. And then we remove our gloves, making sure that when we do remove them, that we're not then touching the next part of that one. So on the inner side, that then goes in our bin. And then we are washing our hands like we normally would. So now that that is all done, we will be leaving by using our foot bath. So we've just got that one on the floor here. So we will step into there. Now I leave my feet in for up to 30 seconds, so I've got that in there, and just step around, so make sure that we're getting those all clean as well. So once we have been in and we're happy that our shoes are clean, just open the door and I've got a little mat out there. So stepping onto that one to dry off our shoes and then closing the door behind us. So once we have left the isolation ward, I like to then wash my hands again, just in case we possibly touched anything on the way out once we've removed our gloves. Alright, so now that it's the next day, we've had a staff member clean out the isolation ward as the patient is now gone, and they've just left the bin to be emptied, so I will go through and do that. Alright, so I've got my gloves on. I'll pop one there for us to empty the bin. Alright, so our protocol with our isolation bin is that it goes in our freezer with a label written on it saying infectious contents. So we'll try and not in that one. In the our label sat here. So we will stick that one on and take that out to the freezer. So now we place that one in our freezer, and we let our practice manager know that we have stuff ready to be picked up. So we've got that one in there. So once we've taken it out to the bin, I then take off my gloves and wash my hands again.